cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
You have a drunk Bailey's from a shoe?
From C-Deck, and coming off that hard bye week, I know the Dyerwolf's ready to get back after it, especially with Jim Knowles bringing his traitor tale to town as the Nittany Lions come to the High Stadium on Saturday. Dyerwolf, you ready for this? Say hi to the people.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. It seems like this bye week always takes 3 weeks, I feel like, but I'm ready for it to finally get here.
Especially with the kind of boring slate this past Saturday in college football, and it ends up like there were some good games, but like no real big upsets. So to satiate our thirst for blood. But this episode, though, of the View from C-Deck, I'm just Matt, and that's Dyerwolf. We're going to preview the Ohio State Penn State game. Then we're going to talk a little bit about college football and the college football playoff picture here at the end. But we got to start off as the Buckeyes are 20.5-point favorites and over under 43.5. Heading into the shoe Saturday against a Nittany Lion team that's lost 4 in a row, fired their coach, lost their quarterback. Why am I still scared about this game, Dyerwolf?
Because it's always closer than it should be. Like, I'm curious I should have looked it up before, but the spread on these games since Day's been here, I don't know if we've hit one but we've won them all. And but it always ends up being like 7 when we're favored by 11 or 3 when we're favored by 7, something like that. So I think the smart bet, but not even knowing what the spread was to bet on Penn State in this one.
Yeah, or maybe the under with how bad their offense has been and how good our defense has been. But the Buckeyes have been cover machines this year. So maybe I shouldn't be worried with that high of a spread. But, Penn State comes in with Jim Knowles leading the defense, a freshman quarterback who was not very good in his first start there, although it wasn't under the easiest circumstances at Iowa, and Grunkemeyer, a Columbus kid. So you have a Columbus kid coming in. They're coming off a bye. They have nothing to lose. They've already lost everything. They have a lot of talent on that team still. This is what worries me. Like, if we come in sleepwalking, it could be a very hard day, especially their defense is very, very good against the pass. They're weak against the run, but we're weak on running the ball and good at passing the ball. The strengths and weaknesses match up. It could be not as easy a day for our offense as we would hope.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I am a little worried. I mean, I don't think we'll actually lose, but the thing that, you're talking about, are they going to come sleepwalking? That was a bad breakup. Knowles and Day. I mean, it was awkward. He's probably going to want to put it to him. And how sweet would it be to just blast them for like 40 points and we shut them out? So I don't think we'll take them lightly. It's not like, I don't know, Wisconsin coming in here or something like that when they're down. It's Penn State. Like, we were expecting this to be a top 3 matchup. It didn't turn out that way, but I think we'll have the full attention.
And I think it's a good game to keep their full attention. I think you're right, though, because you still put in all that work in the offseason. The extra work went towards Penn State and scum, most likely in Texas. You know that they're talented. This has been like basically kind of a rival, but not a rival for the past 20 years, really, since that whiteout game. I feel like, I don't know, even when we first came into the league and we whooped them their first year and then they whooped us the second year when they were on their way to going undefeated and probably should have had a half a national championship, but 94 Nebraska is like an all-time team. Like it's kind of been like our secondary rival. So I think it should have their attention. And like you said, Knowles being there, Day's probably going to want to put some on him a little bit. And also the week after, we have a layup game. So you can kind of go full bore into this one. But we've also come out flat against Nebraska last year coming out of the bye. So the bye almost worries me a little bit, although Day's been really good out of it overall.
Yeah, it's weird. I have bad feelings about coming out after buys, but I looked and he's like undefeated, like actually winning after a bye. So it's like it's not like he loses, but we come out flat sometimes and comes out slow. But The other thing that worries me, ironically, is what would we always say for when it was Penn State and we were a little bit concerned? Yeah, but it's Franklin.
Yeah.
We always beat Franklin. We can't say that right now. So who knows? That's the part that ironically makes me a little bit nervous about this.
Right. I mean, and their coach has nothing to lose. So maybe he just goes balls to the wall and calls all kinds of trick plays and they work. We'll dive a little more into the numbers now. We'll start off with our offense against their defense, which is still a top 20 defense by most statistics, except for like run defense. Obviously, our run offense is not very good right now and only getting like 4.7 yards per carry, which I heard somebody on the radio at 97.1 say was pretty good and that they aren't worried. I'm like, in college football, you think 4.7 yards a carry is good? If it's the NFL, yeah, I'd say it's good. College, when you get layup games like Grambling and stuff, you should be well over 5 if you're an actually good running team. Julian saying, though, completing 80% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks on the year, has the Heisman campaign in full swing now, throwing to two of the best, probably the two of the top 5 receivers in the country, and Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. I like that matchup because even with their talented corners like AJ Harris, he's not big like they are. The jump ball should be there. I think the main thing about our offense is how do we attack this game? Do we attack it like we have all of our other bigger games against tougher opponents where it's conservative, just trying not to make mistakes really? Because we know, especially it's another matchup where our defense has an overwhelming advantage against their offense. Or do we does Day do what he kind of did with Wisconsin there and do it for the first time on the road in that game, but let it loose because of that advantage and see what we have against a top flight defense, at least talent wise. And like you said, try to rub Knowles' face in it. Do we throw the ball a lot is what I'm asking you.
See, I'm not sure. And you're saying, so their rush defense is their strength, is what you're saying over the pass defense?
They're bad. Their rush defense is like 80th in the country.
Okay. So all season he's been preaching just win the game. And it's like the Michigan loss almost, I feel like it clicked something where he knew he put a square peg in a round hole and he tried to beat the team the wrong way. So he's been doing the opposite of that ever since. It's boring at times, but he does what he needs to win. So the logic would say we're going to try to run the ball. We're going to try to run the ball on them because their pass defense is their strength, even though that's our strength on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are going to try to run, and I'm hoping. I know it was just one game, really, but West, I'm hoping we get these young guys more carries. I mean, they dominated the carries against Wisconsin, but West particularly had his best game of the year. And Bo Jackson didn't have a great game running, but he was a baller catching the ball. So maybe we do that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think we make a switch at right guard, finally. I think Tegro Shabola finally is gone. Joshua Padilla was our second highest rated player by PFF on the O-line in that Wisconsin game. Even though we struggled to run, it was a lot better when he was in the game in the second half. It could be just that Wisconsin's defense was worn down from being on the field the whole game, or it could be that we were playing better, maybe a little bit of both. And like you said, I want to see Weston Jackson getting – I want to see almost all the carries. I mean, obviously, pass protection stuff, Donaldson and Peoples both seem to be trusted a lot more. They're both in there a lot for pass protection on passing downs. But with Bo Jackson being such a huge weapon in the passing game as a receiver, I'm okay with – or if we want to run 2 running backs back there, we're not going to do that because we love running 2 tight ends. But even with all this talent on offense or at receiver, I think it's probably not quite as balls to the wall as Wisconsin was. And I think you're right. We're going to at least try to run the ball at first and see if we can exploit them. But really, Penn State's defense, I talked about before we got on here, the games they've given up the huge running amounts, which Iowa and Penn State, like both were well over 200 yards, was against running quarterbacks, though, which we don't have. So that's something. And Jim Knowles kind of struggled with running quarterbacks when he was here, too. Sayan's not that, so I don't know if they'll struggle as much with our running game.
Yeah, and it's like he wants to pinpoint their weakness, but also we pass pro way better than we run block. Our receivers are better than our running backs, obviously. So it is an interesting thing. I think it's kind of he's going to give them a little bit more longer leash, I think, to running the ball. I don't think he'll like give up on it right away. Hopefully he doesn't hang on too long if it's not working, because that can get ugly. But I do think most of the first half you're going to see us going run heavy unless they basically shut us down 2 drives in a row, like 3.5 right away. Then that might be it, and we might have to air it out.
Yeah. And tell me if you've heard this before. Penn State's defense rated very highly against the pass, but only has like 7 sacks or something like that. Their leading sacker has 2 in Fisher. Sounds like the Jim Knowles defenses we had here. Sounds like it wasn't Jim Knowles was the one that made the changes to the defense to lead all the sacks, the 18 sacks we had in the 4 playoff games. I think that was Ryan Day. Other side of the ball, our defense versus their offense, they can run the ball. They got 2 good running backs. And tell me if you heard this before. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton for the 4th consecutive year. Both talented running backs. They have talented O-line for run blocking. Their passing game, they don't have any really good receivers, as per usual, and now they are starting a redshirt freshman, Grunkemeyer, at quarterback. So probably the best running game we've played, though, all year, even with all that said. The other time we played a team that matches up with us physically in the same way, that would be Texas. They did run for 166 yards against us, by far the most we've given up all year, the only time we've given up over 100. Do the Silver Bullets force a bunch of 3 and outs and just totally dominate, or can Penn State like hold on to the ball a little bit?
I think at first they might, in the first half, a little bit, maybe even get a couple field goals in the first half. Like I could see easily us being up like 10-6 at halftime or something like that, something weird. But part of it's because I swear, anytime like a quarterback gets hurt and a backup comes in, we suck. Like we don't react.
In the game,
almost,
it's usually in the game.
Yes, you're right. In the game. So there's not much film on this dude, right? I think he went to Olentangy Orange. He went to one of the Olentangy.
He went to Liberty Center, I believe.
Oh, okay. One of my coworkers.
Or Lewis Center. Sorry, Lewis Center.
Okay. But anytime, it's like, not that it matters for Patricia, to be honest, but the fact that we don't have as much film on the guy could potentially be a bad thing. But I mean, honestly, unless it's a top 5 offense in the entire country, I'm not going to be worried about our defense stopping them, especially at home. But ultimately, I don't see them scoring. Double digits would be a successful outing for their offense.
Very successful. I mean, and I think it's possible. Like a trick play here, like they should be unloading the playbook, because that's the only way they're going to consistently move the ball at all. I mean, they aren't going to consistently move the ball. The only way they're going to get chunk plays, I think, is if we have some. We could mess up some run fits, and if they had some trick plays on us. So I think it's important that we jump on them early, so that they aren't even thinking about. They might go into preservation mode and try not to let it be a blowout rather than trying to win the game. I think, theoretically, our defense is nasty against the run, even though they weren't against Texas. With McDonald up the middle, these linebackers, Caleb Downs is awesome in run support. I just want to see it done against like 2 higher-level running backs and a good run blocking O-line.
Yeah, that is a good point, because that's going to be ultimately the test in the biggest game of the year is, can we stop the run? So that's going to be on the road too. So that's a great point. If we can do it, we got to do it now, because if we can't do it now, I'm going to be very concerned at the end of the year.
Right. That's what I want to see. I want to see us hold them under. I mean, they're going to run the ball so much, I think, that holding them under 100 might be hard, but holding them under like 125, I think, would be like a really good defensive performance. So that's what I want to see, which means like no real big chunk plays, and getting a couple, 3 or 4 3 and outs would be, I think, a stellar afternoon. Special teams, just don't F it up, I guess, because that's what you are. Now, we didn't talk about that, Jason and I, and he just texted me, by the way, and said he can do it, even though we started. Sorry, Hoss. What we didn't talk about enough was how bad the special teams were against Wisconsin yet again, how bad we got outplayed. Bad punting into the end zone again, and bad. We missed a field goal from the usual spot that Jaden Fielding misses it, which is left hash. Anywhere over like 30 yards is an adventure with him, and it remains that way. So yeah, just don't F it up. I have no expectations other than that. And also, Brandon Ennis, quit trying to field punts running backwards inside the 10-yard line.
Oh my God, he's driving me nuts. I want to see. It can't be much worse. Put McClarty in there and punt, unless he's like gonna fumble it or something. I mean, he apparently has this huge leg, but he's inaccurate. I mean, our punter cannot. We punt it from like the 40, and he can't like pin them. It's like a 30-yard shank or something. He cannot punt over 40 yards. I don't think.
Unless we're like at the 45-yard line and he's punting it into the end zone, then it's going in the end zone for sure, like every single time.
Yeah,
like it's infuriating. Like I'd almost rather just start going for it rather than have him punt. Because what's 20-yard punt doing for us? Nothing.
he's already basically guaranteeing he's going to go for it past the 50, unless it's like 4th and 10 and we're in field goal range.
Yeah. Well, what's field goal range?
Field goal range, I think, with the game on the line, like the longest he would attempt is probably like from 30, 47-yarder.
I was thinking 45 yards, the closest I'd be comfortable. And it can't be from the left hash. It cannot be from the left hash. Yeah. I don't know what it is. He just can't. It's like in his head. It's got to be at this point. Yeah, because that's usually what kickers want, is to be on the opposite hash of like where they're kicking.
So you can bring it back. They usually play a little fade.
A little draw.
Yeah.
They're usually playing a little draw. I mean, the NFL, they all kick from, like, they're all the right-footed kickers, which is pretty much all of them, kick from the left hash, like they all do. And Fielding is awful at that. Like, he would be such a struggle in NFL extra points. It wouldn't be funny. Yeah. So, okay. The big thing, put our money where our mouth is. Do we cover the 20.5? And do you like the over-under? I'll let you go first on this one. I will be in the shoe on Saturday, by the way.
Wow. Nice. What's the over-under?
43.5.
Oh, I really think I think we're just gonna keep covering, even though the smart money I said earlier was Penn State, because it's always closer than it should be, but we are a cover machine this year. I think Day's gonna be out to prove a point. I do see them squeaking out some points and getting like 10. So I'm gonna say just barely 31-10.
Man, we're very close there. I was leaning towards, actually, that's what I did with Wisconsin too. I wanted to pick Wisconsin, and the game kind of went how I thought it'd be. And by the way, the last 2 weeks, I have the combined scores I've predicted on the money. If you combine the two scores, I have predicted it exactly, and I predicted the spread exactly the last two games. Just putting it out there. Should have let off with that so people would still be watching. But I think 35-10 is my score. I think we do get touchdowns when we get in the red zone against them because of their struggles in the run game. I think they'll overcompensate. We'll be able to get some, kind of do whatever we want when we get in there. I think it's close at halftime. I think it's like maybe 14-10 at halftime. They get some stuff going. They get a couple trick plays. They get some momentum. But if we jump out 14-0, this could be 49-0 easily.
Yes, it all depends on the start of the game. And the bye week, we always seem to come out slow. Penn State seems to always start hot against us. So I'm just assuming we might even be down at the end of the first quarter and then like score and take the lead going into halftime or something like that. That's kind of how I see it going.
So either way, I'll hack up a lung all over their heads right at Jim Knowles on Saturday. I hope it's actually kind of a decent game for a half at least. We paid a lot of money for these tickets well before the Penn State slide. This is my 40th birthday gift. Is what it actually is. It was a surprise to me. So that said, it's time to talk a little bit about the playoff picture as a whole now that it's really starting to come in to view. And also this past weekend with the lack of upsets, some teams started to separate a little bit in the standings. So right now, obviously, next week the CFP rankings come out, so all this gets adjusted, I guess, a bit, and we start talking just solely about that. But Ohio State won. Indiana just whoops a hot UCLA team. Indiana is putting together NCAA dynasty stuff, is what I call it. Where like it's before like you go to a school like Indiana, you don't have the talent on like Heisman level to just go destroy the good teams. Like you can't run the ball against them. You throw a lot of picks because they're too fast, whatever. Plus the game's like just set to throw picks. But when you play inferior teams, still like the not top teams, you still beat the crap out of them. That's UCLA or that's Indiana right now. They are just wrecking the bad teams, and I think they've had like 4 wins over 45 points already this year.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about them, to be honest. Because for one,
what do you mean bad as in like they're a threat to Ohio State, or bad as in like you don't think they're actually that good?
No, they are good.
I agree.
They make me nervous because I don't think they beat. I think that might be like the longest active FBS winning streak or something like that. It's like 40 years or between in the Big Ten.
1988 is the last time they beat us.
Yeah, so not quite 40, but almost. And we're probably going to have to beat them twice to win a national championship, potentially.
Maybe.
It really depends how it shakes out. I mean, if we're not on the same side, then never mind. But they're legit. I mean, by the metrics, you look at all the stats, like, and I'm usually biased, obviously, but if I literally just look at the numbers, we clearly have a better defense, but they're like top 5 defense, and they blow us out of the water on offense. Mm-hmm. Pure numbers. And they've had a hard schedule so far, beating Oregon. But I do think we're better, but they make me nervous.
Yes. The Oregon win is what makes me nervous, that they went across the country. They went into Autzen, and it wasn't at night, but they went into Autzen and got the win. That is not easy to do. And they've been good for 2 years now. And now their Mendoza is also like pretty projected as a top 5 pick, top 3 if you ask them, Mel Kiper. They're legit. Then I think the Big Ten championship could be a really, really good game. And also, do you know when their bye is? Their second bye?
I think it's like in 2 weeks.
No, second to last week of the season. They get a bye, then Purdue, then the Big Ten championship. That's scary because we got to go. But we don't have any more buys all the way in, and we got to play Scum the week before the Big Ten championship. A little different than playing in West Lafayette, even though they're both rivalry games.
Yeah, because I mean, for the love of God, I hope we put everything into that Scum game. So then it's like, I mean, I'd much rather beat Scum than win a Big Ten championship, right?
Yes, but I'd really rather do both.
Yes, but the reality is we're making the playoffs either way. So, but Scum is more important.
Yeah. Then we have the SEC trio of A&M, Bama, Georgia in that order on both sides. Since Bama beat Georgia head to head, A&M impressive win against LSU. Does have an impressive road win against Notre Dame, even though it was like a super high scoring game. They have a chance. I mean, the winner of the SEC is probably the 2 seed. If Ohio State and Indiana are both undefeated, we're probably the 1 and 3 seed. So we probably don't see them again until the national championship game. Either way, win or loss. But it gets interesting after that. Then right now it's Oregon. In the AP, it's Ole Miss and then Georgia Tech, but it's swapped in the coaches. I watched that Ole Miss Oklahoma game. I'll say this about these SEC teams. The top 3 there, A&M, Bama, and Georgia, they're the best quarterbacked by far. And I don't think any other quarterbacks besides maybe Simpson, but I can't tell if it's the system that's helping them or the talent around them or whatever. They're not that consistent right now, especially throwing the ball. They're all pretty good runners, but they're not that consistent throwing the ball, especially Ole Miss quarterback. Like, I would love to play Ole Miss with our defense. That's same thing as playing Washington to me. Like, maybe a little bit more talent overall, like especially on the O-line, but it's still an inaccurate quarterback who's dangerous with his feet, but we can handle that. We've shown that. If you're inaccurate down the field, you're not torching us. For Georgia Tech, they they had a good blowout win this week against a not very good Syracuse team. They've been eking by a lot of bad teams. I love their quarterback, Haynes Keene. I think it's awesome what they're doing. And I hope they do make the playoff because I think they're an easy out in the playoff.
That's going to be that Georgia Tech at the end of the year could be interesting. I mean, I don't see them beating Georgia, but if Georgia Tech slips up before that, and then Georgia's their second loss,
that's the big thing. Because then it's probably only one ACC team. Right now, the ACC's best bet to get 2 in is for Georgia Tech to be undefeated going into the ACC. They can have 1 loss. They can only have 1 loss though. So if they lose to Georgia, it's fine. They can still both get in because last year they didn't punish SMU for losing, and I don't think they will again. Like if you're a 1-loss team at the end of the regular season, you're getting in. Period.
Yeah.
2 losses though, it's going to be iffy. I don't think 3. I think again 3 losses is not getting in this year.
No, well, in the freaking SEC, it could.
They don't play each other though. Is the thing.
Well, that's what I mean. There's going to be a good team of 3 losses. Like, I guess it probably would have already had to.
No, I'm saying they all, like Bama, Georgia, A&M, Ole Miss. They're not playing each other. It's possible to have 5 1-loss teams in the SEC right now.
Oh, you're saying they don't play each other? None of
right. So they're not going to like just beat up on each other and get these automatic losses. So they end up with 3 losses. It's against bad teams that are not that good.
Okay. Yeah.
So then it gets a little trickier. So we got Miami with the 1 loss. I don't know. To me, they don't look like a team that's a real threat. BYU's undefeated. Between BYU and Texas Tech and maybe Cincinnati, but also with Cincinnati being ranked so high, Nebraska, what are you doing? Why did you get killed by freaking Minnesota, who then got killed by Iowa?
I keep getting confused by these Big 12 schools. BYU, Cincinnati, that's crazy.
Yes, isn't it? And then Texas Tech is a powerhouse now because they got a billionaire just that says, I want to be good at sports at Texas Tech. Former offensive lineman they have.
They lost, though, right? They haven't lost.
Who? Texas Tech? Yeah, they lost to Arizona State.
Yeah.
At Arizona State by 4. Not a bad loss. Also dominated Utah at Utah. They've had a lot of injuries to their quarterback has been their issue. He's been in and out, so they've had not a lot of consistency there.
They're only getting one.
Virginia's still 7-1. Louisville 6-1. The ACC's got a chance, but I don't think these are actually good teams. Then
Big
Oklahoma.
12, Big 12's only getting 1 team, right?
Maybe not. If it
Who's
could be undefeated BYU and BYU, Texas Tech, Cincinnati are all rated in the top 16 right now, and all have 1 or 0 losses.
I forgot BYU was undefeated.
Yeah. So if it's a 2-1 loss, again, 2 1-loss teams play each other, they're probably both getting in. We'll have to see. Or they put in a 2. I mean, it depends on who. If these SEC teams do run the table and they're all 1 loss, they're all getting in.
Yeah.
For sure. A 1-loss SEC team is definitely getting in.
Yes.
Then like the fake good teams though. 18, 19, 20 is where we're going to pick a bone here. Those are the 2-loss SEC teams that are actually not that good. I mean, Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee's that good either at 14, to be honest. But at least they have good losses. Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas, though, all are not good offenses. Are pretty good defenses, but have very few good wins, especially away from home. Obviously, Oklahoma has the best one against Michigan, and then Texas beat Oklahoma, so it's kind of a self-serving thing. Missouri, though, at 20, ahead of Michigan, who's 6-2 and beat at least Washington, beat Nebraska, who are both 2-loss teams, 6-2 teams. Missouri, here's their best win at Auburn, 4-4, 1-4 in the SEC, or home against Kansas, 4-4, like 2-2 in the Big 12. Those are their 2 best wins. They have wins like 0-8 UMass, 2-6 Louisiana, an FCS school that's 3-5 in Central Arkansas. Like their wins stink. Their losses are good, quote unquote. 3-point loss to Bama, 7-point loss to Vanderbilt. Those are nothing to cry about there. But how are they getting ranked over all these other? They're ahead of a 7-1 Houston team, undefeated Navy.
It just always goes back to those stupid preseason rankings. They rank too many of the SEC teams, and then they beat each other, and then it's good losses, and it's just rinse and repeat. And it's like if Washington and Iowa are better than at least 3 or 4 teams that are ranked right now, I think. And they're not ranked. And then LSU, like you said, I think we weren't recording yet, but they were ranked forever. So then, like every team that beat them, it was a good win. And like you said, they beat Clemson, who was ranked early, so it bolstered them. But Clemson ends up being terrible. It's just a vicious cycle because I knew right away in the preseason that it was going to be like this because the Big Ten would have to basically have 1-loss teams to be ranked.
Yeah. One other team I guess we didn't talk about, we skipped over, but they're the Fighting Marcus Freeman's, who's about to get a huge pay raise with all these jobs opening up. Byron Kelly getting fired tonight. So now LSU, Florida, and Penn State, all top 15 jobs at least, open up. They're going to run the table, assuming Navy doesn't trip them up. Maybe at Pitt, that could be a tough one, but at Boston College versus Navy, who's undefeated, but they have destroyed Navy, good Navy teams last few years. At Pitt versus Syracuse, at Stanford. They're going 10-2 with 10 straight wins to end the season. But yes, besides their USC win and maybe Navy, does any of that like ring the bell for you? And they're already 12?
I know. They're going to get in.
So Miami
they have good losses, too.
Yeah.
Those 2 losses are some of the best losses in the country. Like, that, out of all the teams that lost 2 games, those are by far the best 2 losses, I would say.
And by a combined 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah. So they'll get in. I mean, it kind of proves the point that you don't need to be in a freaking conference.
Sure.
It's so annoying.
Because if they were 10-2 and in a conference, they're going to have to win their conference championship game. You're not getting automatically in if you lose at 10-2 with that schedule. I also think they get a little benefit of the doubt because they aren't in a conference that they don't get compared necessarily to these teams as much.
And it's also kind of lucky when they lost, like when those games were played, because it's all about how you finish. So
if they would have lost week 5 and week 8, they're not 12th.
No.
They're probably more like 18. They're in that 18 to 20 range with Texas and Oklahoma and all them.
Yeah.
They have looked good in these wins, though. They've dominated these teams.
I mean, like, if you actually look at it, they probably are a playoff caliber team. I
agree.
But do they deserve it? That's a different question.
So if you had to put money on now, so we get 12. We got whoever wins the American Conference is getting in. So that's the best of the G5s by far. And if any G5 gets in over them, I'm gonna be super upset because they have like 5 actually good teams. So they should get one of the spots. Notre Dame's probably getting the second one. We agree. So, okay, there's 10 spots left for the P4. Big Ten's getting at least 2. Worst case, I'd say 3. I don't think Oregon trips up twice, and I think 10-2 Oregon's getting in. Now, I said because of the resume in our group chat, what I meant was like their respect they have from the committee. Like they view them as a good team pretty much regardless. So if they trip one against Washington or USC and don't play in the Big Ten championship, I think they're still going to be. They might be like a 10 seed, but they'll be in. So we'll say 3 Big Ten teams for argument's sake. So we're at 5 now. SEC's at least getting those top 3 in, I think. Of A&M, because A&M not scheduled. They'd have to drop 3 games in this last 4.
I'd say 4 SEC is the most safe bet, and it could be 5.
So 4. Then we have 3 spots for the ACC and Big 12. Both of them have a lot of 1-loss or 0-loss teams right now. Do you think they only get 1 each, or do we take out the fourth SEC team and get 3 and 3? Just those 3 top, who I think are the top 3: Georgia, Bama, and A&M. And A&M, I only really think because their actual resume is great. Watching them play, I don't know if they're actually good, but they probably they're good, but I don't know if they're like national championship caliber good. So the only 2, so two for the Big 12, I'd say, or probably two for the ACC. If you look at the rankings right now, is more likely, and one for the Big 12. Man, that's tough, especially if it's like 11-1 Texas Tech versus undefeated BYU. I don't know if it's possible at the end of the year.
So you're saying if it was, so it'd be 4 SEC and then 2 ACC, 1 Big 12.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see them dropping to 3 SEC teams. There's no way. I'd see it.
I forgot. Ole Miss, unless they trip up in the rivalry game, they're making it. Their schedule's really bad the rest of the way.
It's more likely that it's going to be 5 SEC and 1-1 is the more.
Man, that would be terrible. I feel like if it is. Let me see who BYU does play.
I think that's more likely though.
Oh, they do play each other.
BYU and Cincinnati.
BYU plays Cincinnati and Texas Tech still. So yeah, I think only one out of the Big 12.
Yeah, and then it really comes down to does Georgia Tech stay undefeated in conference play? If they slip up during the season to an ACC team, it's basically the winner of the ACC championship gets in.
Unless they can.
What do you say?
Unless Georgia Tech beats Georgia.
Yeah, true. Or what about Louisville? They only have 1 loss.
They only have the 1 loss. I don't know what their schedule is like. I remember I picked them a few weeks ago to be a dark horse to get in, and then they probably lost, and then they beat, Miami.
If it's 1 loss, dude, what if Louisville would go. Never mind. I was thinking how Miami could get in over Louisville, who beat them.
Louisville's got a manageable schedule. At Virginia Tech should be a dub. Home against Cal should be an easy dub. Home against Clemson, not easy, but should be a dub. They're not good. Then at SMU, who's not been good at all this year. Then Kentucky at home, who's also not been good at all this year, besides the Texas game. So actually, it's manageable. And then they end up in the ACC championship game.
What happens in this scenario? Georgia Tech. Well, let's say Georgia Tech loses to Georgia. Wins out. Georgia Tech plays Louisville in the ACC championship. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or no. Yeah. So, and Miami's sitting at home at 11-1. Miami's in, right?
Yeah. I would say the Notre Dame win. If they're out, then Notre Dame's out. They're ahead of Notre Dame for sure. So then Notre Dame, that's what put Notre Dame in jeopardy, is that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, because then how much bullshit would that be if they made it, but then the loser of the ACC championship did not make it?
Yeah, there's a good question. How is Louisville? I know they have a worse loss than Notre Dame, but they also beat a team that Notre Dame lost to, and they play. I won't be surprised if Louisville is ahead of Notre Dame in the CFP rankings, though. And I think they have to make it that way for the scenario you're talking about, because they have to be ahead of Notre Dame if they go 11-1. They have to be with the winner of Miami. Then Georgia Tech would be 11-1. I don't know if they don't have a lot of good wins. Is their problem?
Yeah, they that's what would be stupid though. Say Louisville beat Georgia Tech. Well, no, say Georgia Tech beat Louisville. That's what would be weird. Say Georgia Tech beat Louisville, and then Miami gets in over Louisville, who beat them because they had to play an extra game.
That won't happen. They won't. They didn't do it last year. They did not move teams backwards because they lost their conference championship game. And I don't think they will again. I think that's the precedent they set on purpose, because right now it is dumb to be able to benefit. We saw it in the past, though, obviously, with Bama getting in 2017 over Wisconsin, but Wisconsin lost to us while Bama sat at home, which was bull crap. But neither here nor there. Because I think last year they basically said it, you're not getting punished in this 12-team era for losing the conference championship game. So, yeah, that's Notre Dame's the one that gets left out then. The ACC, which is kind of their also de facto conference, is going to be that. All right, we got to wrap this up, though. We've been going too long. Doing what we do when in our long text threads usually of, well, what if this happens? But for the Dyerwolf, I'm just Matt. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know who you think is the team that everybody thinks is going to get in but won't get into the college football playoff. Now I'm starting to think it might be Notre Dame because there's some scenarios out there that really F them over. And it's the ACC having 3 1-loss teams, which is very likely. Well, not very likely, but very possible. All right, but that'll do it for this episode. We will see you guys next time.
Hey guys! Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.